It's funny how time flies. You see, one moment you're celebrating your new role, at the same time dreading the overwhelm that comes with onboarding, and 3 months down the line, you're like, wait, it's been 90 days already. You see, in my last video, I shared that this year I moved companies, and on the 14th of August, guys, I hit the 3 months mark. I hit the 90 days mark. And to celebrate this, I have decided to talk about this topic, your first 90 days as a product manager. And I'm not just talking about this or addressing this because I just recently hit that milestone. It's not the first time I'm hitting that milestone. I just love celebrating milestones. Anyway, you guys get the gist. In today's video, basically, my goal is to share practical tips, and I'll try to chip in one or two examples of my experience here and there. But primarily, the goal is to share practical tips on how you can navigate, survive, guys, and make your mark in your first 90 days. To address the topic of today, I'll be using what I've tagged 3 P's. And in no particular order, 3 P's simply means people, product, and process. Let's start with people. You see, as a product manager, there's something I always love saying, and it's the fact that as a PM, you are in the business of people. And I'm sure this is not the first time, or probably this is the first time, but if this is not the first time of you hearing that statement where PMs are in the business of people, most times when we make that statement is oftentimes connected to our users. Basically, you're in the business of people. You need to know what the user problem is. You need to know your target audience, and rightly so. It is very important. Please don't throw that away. But in the context of today's conversation, people for us right here means your team members or your colleagues, basically, at work. You see, behind every great product is a great team. Not just a great product team, by the way, but a great team. So it's important for you that in your first 90 days, you are intentional about meeting people, getting to know people within your organization, and strategically building relationships. You see, being intentional about strategically building relationships, especially within your first 90 days as a product manager in a new organization, is crucial for your career success, not just in life, but within that organization. These are people that you're going to be having conversations with either daily, weekly, monthly, or even at some point during your journey within that organization. So it's important that you get to know these people, get to know who they are, what their roles and responsibilities are, and how it relates to the product that you're responsible for, or how it relates to the problem area that you currently are focusing on. Now, talking about people, usually, let's make it more practical. In your first 90 days, or I dare say your first week or first month or your first 30 days, right? If you are working or if you got a job in a more corporate environment, this is not about startups right now. So you're working in an organization that has some level of structure already. Usually your manager will share with you a list of stakeholders and a list of people that they believe you should meet in your first few weeks and months as a PM in that role, in that organization, which is actually really great because it just helps you reduce the overwhelm and also helps you prioritize who you meet when you meet them. Because sometimes, depending on the situation or depending on when you join the team, you might have to prioritize you meet, honestly. So I would suggest when you join the company, start with your core team. And by your core team, I'm talking about your product team. So we're talking about the EMs, the engineering manager, if you have one, the engineers. Get to know them. Don't just say hi and stand up and say, hi guys, thank you so much, I'm looking forward to working with you. No, be interested, get involved, set up one-on-one calls. I know some of you, and I say some of you because I don't dread it. I shine more in one-on-one meetings. Although I also do well in general meetings. I'm growing in that area, but one of my strengths actually is one-on-one meetings. So I always jump on every opportunity to jump on a one-on-one call with someone just to get to know them beyond the day-to-day work, right? Be genuinely interested in people. Don't just do it for doing sake. People can tell when you are not interested. And see, Interest is important to build trust. So it's very crucial that you are interested. Jump on a call. Who are they, right? Get to know their journey. Get to know who they are. You will not know, and see, you're not going to know them in one sitting. But it kind of gives you some level of understanding of their background and how you can relate with them. So yes, start with your core team. The next thing is the PMs. The PMs, very, very important. I want to assume, and it's fine if this is not your case right now, but for situations I found myself, especially in the tribe where my squad or my team resides, you oftentimes have other PMs in that tribe. Get to know the other PMs. Try to understand what they do and how it fits into the overall product strategy within that tribe, and how it's also, I don't know, intersect or relate to what you're trying to drive with your own team. Very important. And now you've met with the PMs, it's also important to reach out to other stakeholders that are not part of your core team or are not probably embedded in your tribe, right? So I'm talking about, it depends on the company structure. I'm talking about marketing, I'm talking about legal, I'm trying to think if there are so many, because one thing I'm learning is the company structure, the organizational structure impacts the roles, responsibilities, and who you work with as a product manager. So it's very important for you to get familiar, especially if you're a PM that just recently moved from one industry to another. So for example, I was recently at Spotify and now I'm currently with Busu. So that's moving from music to edtech, meaning that my stakeholders will be different, not very different, but you might have some add-ons. So in Spotify, I didn't have to work with learning designers, but now I work with them almost every day. So you need to get to know them, get to understand who they are. I'm not going to get ahead of myself and start talking about, get to know their processes and all, but get to know these people. Be human, basically. Please be human. I get it. You got the job because you need to survive, you need money and all, but be interested in people, right? Get to know them because it's very crucial for your career. The next point is products. Now, I can talk about this from different angles or perspectives. Anyway, you get the gist. So yeah, get to know your product, understand your product, use your product. In order to make this very easy for you, I'll say start with the problem. Start with the problem, not from your squad level, but from a business level. What's our vision? What's our mission? What problem are we solving specifically? And who are our target audience, or who is our target audience, right? Who are we building for? It's very important that you immerse yourself in this. And trust me, you won't be able to do all of this, and especially understanding your products in the first 90 days. And I'm going to get to a point that will make this make sense. But it's important that at the beginning, you're already interested. You're asking questions around that. Okay, what problem are we solving? How does that relate to the product strategy? What's the product vision? If your company has one, and they should have one. I think that's one of the things that I love about Busu. I loved about the first few weeks at Busu, because I think my manager shared with me the product vision and things like that. And it really helped kind of streamline my thought, because if you know me, I can be very visionary, and once I join an organization or enter, start my role, I'm already thinking about, okay, what are we doing? How does this fit into the next thing? What world are we trying to build or picture or paint and things like that? So you need to understand the product vision. Most times product visions will have like X amount of years. So the 3-year vision, what does that mean? And based on that, you're able to work backwards and try to understand how what you do within your team, how it fits into the overall vision, and most importantly, product strategy. So yes, get to know your product. Getting to know your product on an intellectual level, and please use it. In fact, say you're doing like an audit. I feel like I enjoy audit a lot. I don't get to do that as much now because I just have a lot on my plate, but I always love looking for problems in the product. Yeah, because as a PM, it's part of your job, right? Use your product, identify errors, identify bugs, identify opportunities. I see problems as opportunities. So an opportunity to iterate on existing features as well. Understand your problem area. And when I say problem area, yes, there is a bigger problem, there is a vision and everything, but with understanding your problem area, just basically what I mean is trying to understand how what it is you do with your team, how it fits into the overall strategy. I know I've mentioned that. So trying to understand things around what metrics are we driving. If you work in the growth team like myself, like I moved recently from normal, like I don't want to use the word normal, but I moved into a growth role as a growth PM, and with my team, we are focused on things around activation and retention. So you want to understand, okay, what metrics are we committing to? Have we committed to? And how does that fit into the roadmap, or does what we are doing, drive those metrics? So hopefully you get the gist. Also, I want you to also be intentional about understanding your competitors. Yes. Now, you can look at this from different angles. We're still on the people, by the way. Sorry, we're still on that product, by the way. Understand the landscape, right? Understand the market. And I want to add that don't just go out and understand the market. Understand your company's stand, right, on the market. I don't know if that makes sense. So if it's a very, I'm careful not to use the word structured company, but usually I want to assume that they've done some research. If they've not done any research, that's fine. That's okay. You can take that on and you can do that and go from scratch. But if they've done any work previously, you want to understand who exactly in the market have they identified as their competitor. And that also helps reduce the overwhelm as well, so that you're not crazy and you're just going. So probably they've identified like top 3, 4, 5, products or apps that they feel or they think are competing with their product, or they are in the same space. Basically, you want to start there, get screenshot, have your own. There's this thing I did, right, and I still have it when I joined Busu, and I have my own. I called it Miracles Research Space. It just helped me kind of break everything down that was in my head. Because trust me, the first 90 days is very, very overwhelming. There are days where you are going to question your career choice. Trust me. But anyway, with PIN, we are going nowhere. Do you get me? All right. And the last but not the least is process. Now, this one, I'm not going to be diving too deep, but basically what I want to talk about is understand the company's ways of working. Oh, scratch that. Understand the existing ways of working, if that makes sense. Why I removed the word company is because you're going to understand it at different levels. Do you get me? So you're going to understand the ways of working at the squad level if your company does squad and tribes and everything, right? Your core, when I say squad, I'm talking about your core product team, right? If there are existing ways of working together, you want to familiarize yourself with the team, what we like to call the team rituals. Yes, we know that when it comes to agiles, there are basic principles, there are basic events and expect around the product team. So things like refinement, stand up, sprint plan, things like that, scoring the tickets, writing Jira ticket. But you also want to understand how the team that you're joining has been able to adopt those principles and adapt in practice, right? So product refinement for you might look different within your team. I'm not saying it's different from what is expected, but I don't know, it might be different. Just get familiar, and while you try to in your bid to understand how they are currently doing things, see, don't be afraid to optimize the existing workflows. Trust me. I am very passionate about workflows because it's part of my value props as a person, right? I am all about team organization, structure, and optimizing a workflow for effectiveness, right? And so I'm always looking for ways to improve. That's why I was really happy with my current team. We had a lot of blank space for us to decide on what or how we want to approach things, down to things like reporting of bugs. If you're in a company that has so many teams across the organization, you want to have a structure for things around bugs. Your company might have that structure on a wider level. Probably not. If not, you should have one within your team. So when we have bugs or when someone reaches out to us for a request, be it bug or be it dependency, how do we want to approach that? If they have that already, you want to get yourself familiar with these things, right? So it's very important to understand Also meetings, what meetings exist, and in your bid to understand the meetings that exist, also understand the ones that you don't have to be in, because depending on where you are, sometimes in your first 30 days, 60 days, even 90 days, you'll find yourself in meetings that probably at the beginning you don't understand why they exist or why you're in those meetings, because everyone is treating it on an FYI basis, that just FYI this exists and probably it will be good for you to be there. But at some point during your 90-day journey, you get to a point where the meetings that you absolutely need to be aware of and involved, and you know the ones that you can say, oh, you're not going to be there. So get familiar with the meetings, not just on a squad level, but also on an organizational level. Things like all hands, very important, right? I think every product company has all hands. Why won't you have all hands? And I'm going to talk about that in another video, but all hands, very important. Also get familiar with other modes of communication, right? How are they documenting things? I remember when I was in Spotify, for my teams or the teams I was privileged to work with, we used a lot of Google Docs. But in my current company, we use a lot of Confluence. And I really love Confluence. I didn't know I was going to fall in love with Confluence, but it's really great. Document from like 3-5 years ago, because they've used it consistently within the organization. I can just search for things that were done like in the past and read up and catch up basically. So it just helps streamline information, and especially historical ones as well, just to help you also have a basis for things you want to do in the future. So try to understand how they document things within the organization and follow suit, down to things around like priorities. The organizations already have they already have a structure for this, have a template. If it helps your life, please just opt in. You don't have to go and be searching on Google, because there are crazy suggestions out there about priorities and all. If the organization has something that works, right, go with that. And there are other documents within organizations that will pop up that you might not be familiar with on a product management level, but they use it within the organization. Hop in, right? Also be familiar with things around roadmap. How do they do roadmap basically? I'm of the opinion that there is no one way to product roadmap. Again, it's influenced by the organizational structure and their ways of working. The way we do roadmap where I am now is different from the way we did roadmap in Spotify. So it's very important you understand these things, guys, right? So we've addressed people, product, and process. But I have 2-3 bonus tips for you. You see, I said earlier that the 90 days journey and even more can be very overwhelming. It can be very chaotic. It can be very crazy. And one bonus tip I want to leave with you is be patient with yourself. Extend grace. I know that as PMs, society naturally have put this weight on our shoulders, this expect around, the PM should know a bit of everything, should be able to make decisions, right? That's one of the expect when they even asked you during the interview, how do you make the decision? And rightly so, you should make decisions, data-driven decisions, very important. But believe me, your first 90 days, you will feel stupid, and that's fine. You are gonna feel stupid. And I'm not saying probably you have other experience, but see, on this channel, we prioritize authenticity, we prioritize real life stuff, right? You're gonna feel stupid, and that's fine. See why it's important for you to build relationship, because you need people to fall back on. You don't want to come in as that person. Yes, you're the newbie on the block, but you're the newbie that is full of him or herself. And grace, be patient with yourself. You will feel stupid. That's why you have people around you to guide you, because you just joined the company. There are a lot of text, we have context, information that you don't know, and you need to make the right or the best decision. So it's very important that you extend grace. Reach out for help. I think one of the things that have been constant for me since I started my new role in my new company is the support. Things might feel chaotic with the whole onboarding, overwhelm, but I don't know, for some reason, I'm sorry, I can't fake it. The support is real. My EMs, they are amazing. My engineers, they are amazing. I can easily reach out to them and tell them I don't know this stuff, and you won't feel judged. I don't know how to explain it, but it took me a lot of me training my mind to be able to reach out for help. Honestly, I used to be that girl where I love challenging myself, and that's not bad, right? It's very important to put yourself, I don't know, once in a while in hot seat or challenge yourself to be better. But sometimes if you're not careful, you're going to take it to the extreme and you're going to waste time as well. So I always wanted to figure things out before I reach out. But now, when you're working in a professional environment, I want to say time is a luxury. I don't know if that's the right statement, but you don't have time when you have deadline and timeline, right? So you want to get things rolling faster so you're not your own limitation or your team's limitation. You want to collaborate. You want to work with people more closely, especially the first 90 days. Triage, right? Don't do things alone. Ultimately, there are decisions, or if not ultimately, the decision is still yours. But you'll be better equipped when you work closely with people. You trust me, no one is taking your position of making decisions, but you can't make decisions without the right text, information, data. And there are people that have this stuff. Why not reach out? Guys, it's not that deep. And the last thing, so I've talked about extend grace, be patient with yourself, reach out for help. And in reaching out for help, the last thing I want to leave with you is ask questions. This is something that you feel like you would do until you join the company and you find yourself in certain meetings and you just go mute. I don't know if anybody else, have you ever experienced that? You just go mute. Ask questions. Never assume. Don't see, obviously there's balance to this, but never assume, guys. Never assume. Down to, you see, acronyms. I feel like not just for product managers, but for every new role, I feel like acronyms, they are the weapon fashioned against every new joiner, because you'll just be hearing acronyms that you've never heard in your life. I'm like, what's that? So basically, if you're not there yet to ask on the call, make sure, this is why, back to building relationships, there's someone that you can always reach out to if you're shy on the call and ask, oh, what's this, what's that? So never assume. And talking about never assume, apart from acronyms, even in meetings, right? This is something I'm practicing. I'm trying to sharpen my listening skills and communication skills even more. And never assume you understand what the other person is communicating. So sometimes if it's a meeting I'm facilitating or a meeting I just joined, and probably they call my name and attach an action point for me, if I'm not clear, I know it takes a lot, but if you're not clear, replay what they said and confirm if that's what they meant, right? So that you're not going to do A when they're expecting you to do Z. Let's be guided. Let's do things well. Anyway, that's the end of today's video. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, share, and also leave a comment below what stood out for you in this video. And if you have any questions as well, feel free to drop them in the comment, and I will either reply the comment or I will do a video as a reply. Till next time, bye.